Hello and welcome everyone to the episode 4 of our A to Z chess opening series. And today's alphabet is D. From D, we are going to have a look at the Danish opening, the most aggressive, the very famous Danish opening. So, without wasting time, let's get started. It starts with E4, black responds with E5, and you play the center game by playing your pawn to D4. Now here, most of the players are going to accept the gambit by capturing on the d4 square. And then, instead of recapturing it immediately with the queen, what you do is offer another pawn. You play a pawn to c3. Now here again, if your opponent gets greedy and captures the free pawn on the c3 square, then instead of recapturing it again with the knight or with the pawn, you do the quick development. You try to develop your pieces immediately by playing the bishop to c4. Now the idea behind bishop c4 here is to give an attack on the weak f7 square. Now here, if again he tries to capture c takes on b2 square, then now is the time that you are going to recapture it with a quick development again, developing the bishop, putting it on the longest diagonal possible and attacking on the g7 square, making it difficult for this bishop on f8 to move because there will be a constant threat on the g7 square. Now, what happens in Danish is you always want to be aggressive. You want to give it a try. So, here in this video, I am going to share with you the concept of the Danish gambit. Also, going forward in the video, I'll be sharing you the amazing tricks and traps that you should know and that will help you win faster games. Lastly, towards the end of the video, I will show the correct response, how not to get in trouble with the black pieces. So, stay tuned till the end of the video. Now, before I start with the concept, I want to give you few tips, few general 4 tips that you should be knowing as a white player if you are playing the Danish opening. Now, see, as white, we have already sacrificed 2 of our pawns. Right? We are low in material, so we should not try to exchange the pieces. A general rule in chess says that if you are ahead in material, then try to exchange as many pieces as possible because then there will be a material advantage that you will be able to see. But here, since you have sacrificed 2 of your pawns for the quick development, now don't give away the pieces. You are already doing good. Look at your 2 monstrous bishops. The bishops are eyeing at these 2 diagonals, making it difficult for your opponent to develop. Second is, this is an open position. In open position, bishops are very helpful. So let these bishops be there on the board and make it always a opportunity to attack to your opponent. Third one is be aggressive. Don't do passive moves. You are ahead in development, you need to attack. So third tip is to be aggressive. Fourth is, in positions like this, don't hesitate to bring out the queen too early. Now here, if you can get your queen on the b3 square or on the f3 square, that will be helpful in the attack. So don't hesitate to bring out your queen very early. Also, many times in positions like this, you should always keep an eye at the f7 square. There will be opportunities, there will be chances where you will be able to sacrifice your bishop on the f7 square to get some advantage. Either you'll be winning your pawns back or you will be able to destruct his king structure and balance the material. Anything is possible. So always check out on that f7 square. Also, sooner than later, your opponent might play his knight to f6. Now, always remember, whenever he's going to bring his knight to f6, trying to attack your e5, e4 pawn, you are going to push it forward, e5, annoy him, try to push him back or to trap him. So, these were the general tips that you should be knowing as white. Now, let's have a look at the normal responses, what the opponent might do. Most common that I have seen so far is players do play their pawn to d6. After pawn d6, you play knight f3, the bishop comes and tries to pin, but that fails again. See, said always look for the sacrifice on the f7 square. So here you can play bishop f7. Now here if the king captures it, then you play a knight to e5. Definitely the d pawn cannot capture your knight because then the queen will be lost. And when he moves his king anywhere, you win the bishop on spot. Okay. Going back to a move, what if he's not playing his pawn to d6? Instead, he is playing his knight to c6. After knight c6, you play a knight to f3, knight f6. And remember, whenever the knight comes to f6, our idea is to push the pawn forward and give an attack to the knight. So, play a pawn to e5. Now, if he saves it and comes on the e4 square with his knight, then again, you can sacrifice the bishop on the f7 square, king captures it, and now you go for queen d5, winning the knight, as well as look at the development that you have done with your pieces, and also the king now will be stuck in the center, won't be able to castle. So overall this position is amazing for white. Okay, moving back to another move, what if he's not playing his knight to c6 as well? Instead, he's directly going for queen g5, aiming for to capture on the g2 square with his queen. Then you play normally. First, you play your knight to f3, giving an attack to the queen. And if he gets greedy and captures your free pawn on the g2 square, then you first give an attack to the queen, save your rook, play your rook to g1. The only option queen here has is to go on the h3 square, and then comes again the sacrifice, bishop f7. King definitely cannot capture it because then he will lose his queen, as this knight g5 comes with a fork. So what can he do? He'll have to save his king. He'll have to go in the corner. And once he do that, now you can just play your rook to g7, sacrifice it over there. If the bishop captures it, then you are going to win the rook for sure. Also, if he is not capturing your rook, then look at this knight. The knight is attacked twice. He needs to defend it. Let's say he plays his knight to e7. Now you can give a discovered attack. Either you're going to win the queen or you're going to win the rook. Correct? Okay, coming back to the line, what if he is not even playing queen g5? Then what are the other choices that your opponent has? Some might play their bishop to b4, trying to give you a check. You block the check by playing your knight to d2, protecting the e4 pawn. Now here knight f6 comes in, you push the pawn. Remember, whenever the knight is going to come to f6, you are going to play a pawn to e5. Now knight comes on the e4 square, trying to attack your knight further. Here again you can sacrifice on the f7 square, win the pawn back, distract the king. Don't allow him to castle. The king captures it on the f7 square. Then you can go queen b3 and win your bishop back. If he is not capturing it, instead, let's say he is going anywhere on the king f8 or king to e7 square, then you force the exchange again by playing your bishop to a3 first. When he captures your bishop, you first capture the knight. Now let's say he captures your bishop on the f7 square, then queen b3 comes with a check, wins the bishop on spot. So these are all the variations, these are all the common replies that your opponent might do. Now, if your opponent is very well prepared against the Danish opening, there is one Textler gambit that he can do. After this, he can play his pawn to... Now, looking at the response, what if your opponent is prepared and he is playing the Textler gambit? If he plays his pawn to d5 here, then you can capture on the d5 square. And now, here, if he does any random move, let's say he gives an attack to your bishop by pushing his pawn up on the c6 square, then he is gone. Because now you can ignore the threat, capture on the f7 square. The king cannot capture it, as he would lose the queen on the d8 square then. Now, if he comes up with the king on the e7 square, then you try to deflect the king, decoy the king, play your bishop to a3. The king will have to move, and eventually you're going to win the queen. As I promised you, I will be showing you the correct response to play here as black. So the correct response is actually the Textler gambit. You have to play a pawn to d5, but then you don't play a pawn to c6. Instead, you play a knight to f6. Now, what is the reason behind knight f6 is, here white cannot go bishop f7. If white tries to play bishop f7, king f7, now he's not losing the queen, because the queen captures on the d8 square, bishop b4 comes with a check and a discovered attack on the queen. You have to come back with the queen, he captures it, and black is slightly ahead in development as well as materially. So I would say black here will have a slight advantage if he does that. So again, if you want to avoid that and you want to go for a quick win, do not sacrifice on the f7 square after he has played his knight to f6. Overall, this has a very good win rate. This gambit will be helpful to you to win your next tournament. Till the time, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, share with your friends and family. Also, please write down your message in the comment box. What would you like to learn more from us? Thank you.